In the reflections of the ancients, there is a quiet truth often missed by the hurried world. A person who walks alone is not necessarily lost, damaged, or deficient. Solitude is not always a wound. It is sometimes a form of strength. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the soul becomes stronger when it stands on its own foundations. Modern psychology echoes this truth, showing that certain minds are simply built differently, more observant, more sensitive, more attuned to authenticity than noise. Many who keep few friendships carry this very nature. Their solitude is misunderstood because the world expects all people to reach outward, to be constantly social, constantly available. But not every mind is nourished by crowds. Some are nourished by clarity, depth, and the steady light of their own thoughts. Their quiet does not reveal a flaw, it reveals a higher threshold for what is meaningful. You may have noticed this in yourself. Perhaps you have learned, slowly and painfully, that your tolerance for insincerity has grown razor-thin. Not out of bitterness, but awareness. The more you recognize the masks people wear, the less willing you are to sit in rooms where everyone pretends. Psychology notes that self-awareness naturally lowers our tolerance for manipulation and posturing. The Stoics would say the same. When you understand the nature of things, you cease to be impressed by what is hollow. It is not that you dislike people. It is that you see too clearly when a person is not truly present. You sense the subtle shift in their voice when they adjust themselves to impress. You notice when someone crafts their words for effect instead of honesty. You sense when praise carries an agenda, when politeness conceals resentment, when friendliness serves as a tool rather than a gift. Your mind catches these inconsistencies instantly, often before the other person even realizes they are performing. And what does a discerning mind do when surrounded by performances? It withdraws, not out of disdain but out of self-preservation. Marcus Aurelius advised himself repeatedly to guard his inner citadel, to allow no unworthy influence to trespass there. Modern psychology calls this protecting one's emotional energy. You simply refuse to trade your peace for the comfort of blending in. This is why many people with solitary tendencies prefer depth over breadth. You do not hunger for a room filled with voices. You hunger for a conversation that means something, a mind that meets yours honestly, a moment where both people drop their armor and speak without trying to impress, persuade, or strategize. Most conversations in the world, as you've noticed, are not like this. They skim across the surface, pleasant, polite, endlessly shallow. Weather reports, routine updates, predictable exchanges where no one reveals anything of value. Modern psychology calls this low-intimacy interaction. The Stoics would simply call it unnecessary. For you, such exchanges feel like eating air, filling the time, but feeding nothing. Your mind seeks ideas, meaning, the inner workings of yourself and others. You want to know what makes people act the way they do, how belief shapes behavior, how a person becomes who they are. You want to talk about the architecture of the mind, the purpose of struggle, the nature of virtue, the patterns of emotion. And you want to listen to someone who speaks from the depth of their own experience, not merely what they've heard others say. Because of this, you do not force connections. You would rather wait in solitude for something real than crowd your life with noise. A Stoic would commend this. Better to stand alone with integrity than to stand among many who weaken your character. Modern psychology agrees. Those who crave depth tend to avoid shallow relationships instinctively because superficial connections drain rather than nourish them. This inner design also explains why social interaction may feel more taxing for you than it does for others. Some minds process more signals than average. They read micro-expressions, tone shifts, emotional currents, subtle dynamics. They analyze everything. Modern psychology calls this high social sensitivity. The Stoics would call it a heightened awareness of the impressions that strike your mind. You are not exhausted because you dislike people. You are exhausted because your mind works hard. Every conversation costs energy. Every room demands attention. Every emotional cue your brain detects must be sorted, interpreted, sometimes absorbed. Extroverts gain energy from these exchanges, but you spend energy with each one. And what does a mind naturally do when energy runs low? It returns to solitude. not because it prefers isolation, but because solitude restores what social life consumes. It is the Stoic practice of returning to the self, of inspecting one's own thoughts, of sitting quietly with one's inner guide. It is also psychology's concept of nervous system regulation, restoring balance after overstimulation. This need for recovery can make you appear distant or uninterested, but the truth is far kinder. You simply require time to regain clarity. Some people need a few minutes. You need a few hours, sometimes days. There is nothing wrong with this. It is simply how your system maintains equilibrium. Another trait often found in those who walk alone is independence from external validation. Many people build their sense of worth through the approval of others. The Stoics warned against this, teaching that a person anchored in other people's opinions becomes a slave to them. Modern psychology calls this high social dependency. But you operate differently. Your validation comes from within. You can sit in a quiet room without reaching for distractions. You can think your own thoughts without needing someone to confirm them. You can entertain yourself, learn by yourself, and move through the world without craving a witness. You do not need someone to tell you your decisions are good. You do not need to broadcast your progress. You do not need applause to take the next step. This internal solidity can make you seem aloof, but it is not distance. It is strength, the kind of strength that does not wobble when ignored and does not inflate when praised. High independence naturally comes with high standards. You do not open your inner world to just anyone. A Stoic would call this good judgment. Psychology would call it selective social engagement. Most people gather acquaintances the way others collect trinkets, quickly, cheaply, and without much thought. But you choose carefully, not because you are cold, but because you know that one wrong person can unsettle your entire inner life. This caution is often learned, not born. Many people who avoid friendships have a past that taught them to be watchful. Perhaps trust was broken when you offered it sincerely. Perhaps you were betrayed, manipulated, or dismissed when you were most vulnerable. Maybe you grew up surrounded by people who were physically present but emotionally absent. Psychology shows that once trust is broken, the mind becomes more selective. The Stoics would say, experience has trained your judgment. You no longer hand out trust like a careless gift. You test people, not out of paranoia but wisdom. You observe their consistency, their sincerity, their integrity. Only when the evidence is clear do you allow someone deeper into your life. This is called the trust threshold. Most people's threshold is low, yours is high, very high, and that is not a flaw, it is a filter. For the person who walks alone, this truth matters deeply. There is nothing wrong with you. Your mind simply works with more awareness, more depth, more sensitivity, and higher standards than most. This gives you a richer inner world, sharper perception, and a form of strength that is forged in solitude rather than crowds. Many of the strongest minds in history spent long seasons alone. They were not avoiding the world, they were preparing themselves for it. There is another dimension to this solitude, one that both the Stoics and modern psychologists understand deeply. When a person spends much of life observing rather than participating, they develop a kind of internal clarity that others rarely see. They notice motives rather than gestures. They track patterns rather than excuses. They understand character not by what people claim, but by what they repeatedly choose. This clarity is not glamorous. It can feel heavy. Once you learn to see people as they are, not as they pretend to be, many social interactions lose their appeal. The Stoics spoke often about the importance of seeing reality without adornment. They believed that freedom begins with clear perception. Modern psychology frames this as emotional intelligence, an ability to read the truth beneath the surface. But this clarity has a cost. When you perceive deeply, you cannot engage lightly. You cannot unsee patterns once you've recognized them. You cannot pretend shallow relationships satisfy you. You cannot ignore the way certain people drain your energy, distort your peace, or destabilize your focus. You've likely felt this. The moment when a conversation feels scripted, when the other person talks to be heard rather than understood, or the moment when someone's friendliness feels like bait, wrapped around an unspoken demand. Your mind tracks these things automatically, and rather than play along, you quietly distance yourself. This distancing is often misinterpreted. Others may assume you're cold, uninterested, or arrogant, but the truth is gentler. You are protecting your inner equilibrium. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind should remain upright, simple, and sincere, and that one must guard this sincerity from the corrupting influence of triviality and pretense. You withdraw not to escape people, but to maintain your integrity. This inner withdrawal also explains why you feel more at home in your own company than in most social environments. Your inner world is organized, meaningful, and rich. You know how to think through your emotions, how to observe your thoughts, how to restore balance when life becomes chaotic. You can hold yourself steady without needing someone else to steady you. This is psychological self-regulation combined with Stoic self-mastery. The world often misunderstands such people. It expects everyone to seek constant companionship, constant validation, constant connection. But you have learned, perhaps the hard way, that not all company is beneficial and not all relationships are worth the cost they demand. You've learned that your energy is precious and that giving it to the wrong person can leave you depleted for days. So you choose carefully. You wait. You sift. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you join. You are not a collector of acquaintances. You are a guardian of your emotional ecosystem. And like any good guardian, you know when to open the gate and when to keep it closed. Modern psychology has a name for this: selective affiliation. The Stoics simply called it wisdom. There is also a profound connection between solitude and resilience. People who walk alone for long periods often develop a remarkable capacity to endure themselves. Many fear quiet because in silence they encounter their unfiltered thoughts. But you have spent enough time alone to face these thoughts honestly. You have learned to examine your fears rather than run from them, to organize your mind rather than drown in it. This is one of the greatest Stoic practices, self-inquiry. To sit with your own mind without distraction, to question your impressions, to test the truthfulness of your emotions, to understand what is within your control and what is not. Modern cognitive behavioral therapy mirrors this practice. Observe your thoughts, reframe what is distorted, challenge what is false, strengthen what is wise. The path of solitude has made you a practitioner of this without realizing it. This is why, despite walking alone at times, you have not collapsed into bitterness or despair. You've grown. You've strengthened the inner muscles of resilience, reflection, and independence. The world calls this being different. The Stoics called it being self-possessed. Your solitude has also taught you something about trust that many people never learn. Trust is not a gift. It is an earned privilege. When you trusted freely in the past, you were disappointed or hurt. When you revealed your vulnerabilities unguarded, they were mishandled. When you gave loyalty without discernment, it was not returned. These moments carved lessons into you, and though the lessons were painful, they were also formative. Modern psychology tells us that once trust is broken, the brain becomes more vigilant. It develops what is known as a protective bias, a way of scanning for potential threats before allowing closeness. Stoicism describes this as learning through misfortune, using adversity to refine judgment. You now test actions more than words, consistency more than charisma. You no longer grant access to your inner world based on charm, convenience, or outward likability. This is not distrust, it is discernment. A valuable trait disguised as distance. You have learned that not everyone is meant to stay. Not everyone deserves proximity, and not everyone carries the emotional maturity required for genuine connection. Your trust threshold rose because your experiences taught you it needed to. Yet here is the paradox. The Stoics understood well. Those who trust slowly often trust deeply. Because once someone proves themselves, through consistency, sincerity, patience, you offer them a loyalty that is rare, unwavering, and profound. You do not scatter your trust like seeds in the wind. You plant it carefully, and when it grows strong. This is one of your strengths, though it may not feel like it. You offer fewer friendships, but they are real. You offer fewer promises, but you keep them. You open your heart less often, but when you do, it is wholehearted. The solitude you carry has shaped you into someone who values authenticity over entertainment, depth over distraction, meaning over noise. Someone who listens more carefully, sees more clearly, and feels more deeply than most people realize. This is why you often sense things others overlook. The subtle shift in tone that reveals disappointment, the small hesitation that reveals fear, the hidden tension in someone's posture that reveals stress. These sensitivities may exhaust you at times, but they are also part of your gift. They allow you to navigate relationships with clarity and to avoid those that would harm your peace. The Stoics believed the mind should remain untouched by the chaos of the world, not by withdrawing entirely, but by understanding fully. Your solitude has given you this understanding. It has taught you where your boundaries should lie, how to preserve your internal balance, and when to step back from influences that cloud your judgment or drain your energy. Most people chase connection without reflection. You reflect first, then connect, rare but wise. You're not disinterested in others. You are simply uninterested in what is shallow, temporary, or disloyal. You have no desire for relationships that jeopardize your peace, distract your purpose, or dilute your self-respect. And while others may not understand this, the Stoics would. Modern psychologists would. Anyone who has learned to honor their inner world would. If you have few friends, it is not because you are incapable of connection. It is because you are capable of deeper connection than most people are willing to offer. The world often calls this isolation, but both philosophy and psychology would call it discernment, depth, and inner maturity. Your mind is not broken. It is simply designed for something different, something more honest, more meaningful, and more enduring than the average social life. And until you find that solitude is not just acceptable, it is appropriate. There is one final truth you must remember, one that Stoic philosophy and modern psychology both affirm. Solitude is not the absence of connection, it is the preparation for the right connection. The seasons in which you walk alone are not punishments. They are calibrations. They refine your standards, sharpen your perception, and teach you what your soul genuinely needs. The world often tries to convince you that your worth is measured by how many people surround you. But the Stoics rejected this illusion. They held that the value of a life is measured not by the number of companions, but by the quality of one's character and the clarity of one's mind. Psychology echoes this, noting that people with rich internal lives simply don't depend on crowds for psychological nourishment. Their fulfillment comes from alignment with their values, not alignment with social expectations. This is why you have learned to enjoy your own company, not because it is all you have, but because it is more honest than the company you once kept. When you sit with yourself, you know you are with someone who will not judge your contradictions, misuse your vulnerability, or turn your secrets into currency. You can think clearly, breathe deeply, recalibrate your priorities, and reconnect with your purpose. This kind of self-sufficiency doesn't make you antisocial, it makes you emotionally sovereign. Many people live in fear of silence because they cannot face their own thoughts, but you have walked into silence willingly, and in doing so, you have built a form of inner resilience that cannot be easily shaken. This resilience is not loud or dramatic. It shows itself quietly, in the way you walk away from what is toxic, in the way you protect your boundaries without apology, in the way you refuse to settle for relationships that demand you shrink yourself. If relationships are bridges, you no longer build yours out of desperation or fear of being alone. You build them out of discernment, purpose, and mutual respect. Anything less feels counterfeit. Anything less you release. The solitude you've experienced has also given you a gift most people never receive, the gift of understanding yourself. You know what triggers you, what restores you, what your values are, what your limits are, and what your mind needs to stay steady. In psychological terms, this is advanced self-awareness. In Stoic terms, it's the mastery of the inner citadel. And because you understand yourself, you understand others more easily. You recognize suffering behind sarcasm. You recognize insecurity behind arrogance. You recognize loneliness behind loud personality. These insights can feel heavy, but they also make you compassionate. You do not judge quickly, you judge accurately. This clarity will shape your future connections. When someone enters your life who moves with sincerity instead of strategy, you will feel it. When someone speaks truth instead of performance, you will notice. When someone offers presence instead of pretense, your guard will naturally lower. And that is what all of this solitude has been preparing you for, the ability to recognize the rare from the common, to honor the genuine and walk away from the artificial, to know the difference between someone who wants access to you and someone who wants connection with you. Because here is the deepest truth. People like you do not need a wide circle. They need meaningful alignment. A single relationship built on authenticity will matter more to you than 100 built on noise. You're not here to accumulate people. You're here to connect, grow, and share what is real. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the world is change and life is opinion. Modern psychology adds that your perception shapes your reality. The journey you've lived, one of solitude, introspection, and discernment, has shaped in you a more accurate way of seeing. You see the difference between distraction and purpose, noise and truth, deception and sincerity. So if you have few friends, it does not mean something is wrong with you. It means you refuse to dilute your life with relationships that compromise your integrity, drain your energy, or disrupt your balance. It means you have a mind that sees quietly, a heart that feels deeply, and a spirit that prefers truth over comfort. Many people drift through life collecting acquaintances the way others collect receipts, quickly, carelessly, and with no intention of ever revisiting them. But you are not built for that. You are built for depth, for intentionality, for meaning. And because of that, your path may be narrower, your circle smaller, your solitude longer. But when the right people enter your life, those who speak honestly, listen sincerely, and show up consistently, you will recognize them instantly. You will feel the difference, and they will feel it too. Until then, solitude is not a prison. It is the workshop of a stronger mind. You have not been walking alone because something is wrong with you. You have been walking alone because your standards, your perception, and your depth require a different kind of companionship than most people are ready to offer. One day, someone whose mind is as steady as yours, but whose solitude has shaped them differently, will walk beside you, not to replace your independence, but to walk with it, not to fill your silence, but to share it, not to complete you, but to meet you. And when that day comes, your solitude will reveal what it truly was: preparation, not punishment, not deficiency, preparation.